The chapter begins with Urahara standing in front of a massive attack by Askin. Urahara is shocked as the attack grows, trapping him inside a giant ball created by Askin. Askin explains that this is the gift ball, the largest poison ball he can create, and names it Hashin, remarking that the name is rather lame. As Urahara is still stunned, Askin elaborates on his ability, stating that the ball is a riot show that changes 48 times per second. To clarify, Askin explains that in 1 second, Urahara is hit with 48 different poison patterns. If Askin stands still and endures an attack for 1 second, he gets infected by all 48 varieties of poison. Urahara listens intently, seemingly calculating something. Askin continues, explaining that after the infection, he only needs time to analyze and acquire immunity to the poison. Urahara, sitting silently, appears to be planning something. Askin, noticing Urahara's actions, looks at him, mocks him by saying, "You might have something that can alter or add to your strategy, but it's useless." Out of what he claims is generosity, Askin begins explaining his Hashin ability further. Askin states that Hashin adapts to any alterations in the poison. No matter how much the surface layer changes, as long as the base composition remains the same, he can develop immunity and instantly neutralize the poison. "I guess that's a convoluted way to put it, but you get it right?" Askin remarks, as Urahara continues to sit, seemingly deep in thought, while Askin keeps talking. Askin then adds, "From this point forward, no matter how much you try to change your approach, you won't even be able to scratch me." Urahara continues his preparations, seemingly unfazed. Growing more confident, Askin taunts, "So, what are you going to do now, Urahara? Don't tell me that after I've taken away options 1 through 10, you've run out of ideas." He then ascends into the air, creating several large spheres that float around him. Askin reassures Urahara saying, "No need to be startled. This is just a precaution. I don't like using big tough-sounding words. People who use them don't seem like they're in control, right? I want to be an in-control kind of guy, but even so, I'll say it is absolutely impossible for you to escape from this gift ball." To this, Urahara chuckles and responds, "You want to prevent us from escaping that badly?" Askin replies, "Well, we are enemies, do you even need to ask?" Urahara, sensing something deeper, says, "That's not it. Forgive me for saying this, but you don't seem to be acting out of a sense of loyalty." Offended, Askin retorts, "That's pretty rude. I like to think I'm at least twice as loyal as the average soldier, but you're not entirely wrong. It's not just about loyalty, I'm very interested in His Majesty." Does that make it sound like I'm putting myself above His Majesty? Because of course I would never do that. The material world, Hueco Mundo, Soul Society, who else other than His Majesty is trying to destroy these 3 worlds and create something entirely new? For instance, if we lose our chance with His Majesty now, do you really think someone else like him will come along later? Askin turns to Urahara with a smirk. "Kisuke Urahara, you're a smart man, someone who's seen all the world has to offer. Don't you want to witness it? Don't you want to see what His Majesty will create after he destroys these 3 worlds?" Urahara, having had enough of Askin's rambling, suddenly moves. In a quick flash, Urahara attacks Askin with his sword. Askin immediately pulls back, using his abilities to dodge, and remarks, "You can still move that quickly? Pretty impressive, considering you're inside the gift ball." Urahara stands tall, his expression hardened. "I don't think I want to see it." Askin replies, "That's your answer, huh? Too bad, I really thought you'd be on board with me on this one." Urahara responds, "If it were Captain Kuratsuchi, he might have said he'd like to see something new. But even he wouldn't mean something like Yuha box creation. If we're talking about creating something no one has ever seen before, that's something we have to do with our own hand. That's what it means to be a scientist." Askin laughs slightly. "I see, I can't say I dislike your answer, but still, I'd prefer to see what His Majesty will do. Before moving on, I request you to subscribe to my channel, as it's really hard to make these videos, and your subscription means a lot. Thank you." Coming back, without hesitation, Askin prepares his next move. He activates his gift ring, creating a giant ring of energy, and hurling it toward Urahara. The ring disappears mid-flight, and Urahara is momentarily confused by its vanishing. In the next instant, the ring reappears, slowing down and attaching itself to Urahara's eyes. Before Urahara can react, his eyes suddenly explode, blood gushing out from them. Urahara stumbles back, blinded and in shock. Askin smugly explains, "The gift ring is designed for opponents as ridiculously strong as you. Where my death dealing doesn't work like it should. It's a fact. It concentrates my death dealing ability into a single point with pinpoint accuracy, not just killing you slowly, but attacking vital areas directly. Sorry, but you're too damn strong. Lowering your immunity doesn't work, and wiping out all your resources doesn't work either, so I'm left with no choice but to kill you the old-fashioned way, by destroying your vital organs." Urahara, with blood still pouring from his eyes, slowly rises to his feet. You're really out for blood, aren't you? He mutters, his voice strained. Well then, you leave me no choice either. At that moment, for the very first time, Urahara activates his Bankai. Askin is visibly shocked as a giant, goddess-like figure materializes behind Urahara. Askin gasps in disbelief. There was no information about Urahara's Bankai in the intel Uabak gave us. Urahara, now calm and composed, says, "This is the first time I've ever used it in front of anyone here." Askin, still processing what he's seeing, replies, "I see. That explains it. So, I've gotta ask, what does it do?" Urahara says, "You're asking me that? You know I can't tell you." Askin replies, "Yeah, I suppose you've got a point, but it's kind of scary facing a Bankai without knowing what it does, you know?" Urahara smirks, "I understand. But even if I don't tell you, you'll figure it out soon enough." Suddenly, Askin is stunned as he notices his hand opening up by itself, revealing the exposed flesh beneath. Shocked, he quickly retreats, using his abilities to distance himself. Urahara, observing calmly, says, "You've got good composure. Most people would be so panicked they'd try to cut off their own arm. But as you've probably realized, my Bankai has an area of effect." Askin laughs nervously. "I'm just not brave enough to chop off my own arm." Urahara continues, "You might have picked up on part of it by now. But the true power of my Bankai isn't just this. Its real power is the ability to remake anything it touches." At that moment, Askin notices Urahara's eyes, which were destroyed earlier, are now completely restored. Askin stares in disbelief. Seizing the moment, Urahara swiftly slashes Askin's arm, blood spraying out. In quick succession, Urahara delivers another strike, but this time Askin manages to block it using his own attack. Askin grits his teeth and says, "You can see again, but I could just as easily destroy your eyes once more." Urahara unfazed replies, "I can, because I remade them." In the next moment, Urahara gently restores his own arm as well, using his Bankai's power. With his renewed arm, he channels more force into his sword and hurls Askin backward, sending him crashing into a building which collapses under the impact. Askin pulls himself up from the rubble, visibly frustrated. Now it's turning into one of those brute force battles I hate so much. And here I was thinking I could just take things at my own pace, but now everything's falling apart. Urahara approaches calmly and says, "You're one bad dude, Askin, but no matter how bad you are, you're not perfect. You haven't forgotten, have you? Your gift ball deluxe is a poison fortress from which there's no escape. The only reason you can breathe in here is because I'm keeping the poison at bay." Askin looks wary as Urahara inches closer. "You're not planning to dilute the poison further, are you? It's taking everything I've got just to keep moving." Askin scoffs. "Keep talking. I know what's up. Your Bankai is dangerous, even when you're crawling around like this." Urahara smirks again. "Well done. You've figured things out nicely. It's already too late." Suddenly, blood gushes from Askin's chest, and his eyes widen in shock as he realizes his heart has been ripped out. He gasps, trying to comprehend what just happened. As blood spills onto the ground, Urahara stands over him and says, "Something you mentioned caught my attention. You said it was impossible to escape from your gift ball deluxe, but you never said anything about it being impossible to enter from the outside." Urahara explains, "So I tested that theory. I created a path from the outside to enter the ball. After all, no one can escape from within, but there's nothing stopping someone from coming in from outside." Askin, on the brink of death, looks up and sees none other than Grimjow standing behind him, holding his heart. Urahara smirks, "Thanks for the help, Grimjow." In the next instant, Grimjow crushes Askin's heart in his hand, bringing an end to the battle. We see Askin lying on the ground, with Grimjow standing beside him. Askin gasping says, "You can move again, pretty impressive. I underestimated you." Grimjow looks down at him. "You're still alive after I crushed your heart?" Urahara answers, "I was the one who healed Grimjow on his way here." He continues, "I didn't remove his Arankar mask, but Arankar react very differently to Hado through their resurrection. I thought that fact might come in handy during this battle." Askin, struggling, asks, "You're telling me you knew this was coming?" Urahara shakes his head. "No, I said I thought it might come in handy, so I prepared. If you make 1,000 preparations and only use one, then it was still worth it. Preparing for all possibilities, without exception, that's how I operate." Askin is shocked and says, "That's insane." Urahara replies, "Why is that crazy? This is war. If you lose, you die. So to avoid that, you prepare for everything." Askin, now at the brink of death, whispers, "Now it makes sense. I think I finally understand why you're so terrifying." Before he can finish his thought, Grimjow delivers another brutal blow to Askin, silencing him for good. Grimjow glances at Urahara. He's one tough guy. Urahara seems to want to say something, but Grimjow cuts him off. "My work here is done. I only came to kill the enemy, and now it's over." Suddenly, both Urahara and Grimjow sense something. Askin, barely clinging to life, murmurs, "When I die, Gift Ball Deluxe will increase its intensity." In his final moments, Askin triggers a massive surge of energy. The gift ball deluxe explodes in intensity, sending a wave of destruction all around. Urahara, weakened and bleeding, is unable to do anything. His Bankai fades away as blood pours from his body. Urahara, lying on the ground, softly says, "I guess this is it for me. I'll have to leave everything to Kurosaki and Kuchiki Rukia." With that, Urahara's and Askin's battle reaches its conclusion. Askin dies, and Urahara, severely injured, is left to rest. The fierce fight between Urahara and Askin comes to an end. But you guys still haven't subscribed, so before you go, let me know the topic for the next video and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, and see you in the next video.